You're listening to The Power Project. I'm your host, Brandy Voth. I also like to think that I'm your guide along this journey of purpose, which is where you will hopefully end up at the end of this podcast. I'm a mom, a wife, a daughter, a friend, an entrepreneur, an advocate in the fight against human trafficking. I wear a lot of hats, y'all, but don't we all? And most importantly, I am passionate about inspiring women to go out and lead purpose-filled lives while owning your God-given power. I have this crazy belief that we are all better when we lift each other up, which is exactly why I created this platform to spotlight other women that are leading in ministry, business, and nonprofits in the hopes that you at home will be inspired by their stories to get up and take action in order to walk in purpose and own your God-given power. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Welcome back to The Power Project. I am coming to you today from my motorhome. I am staring out the window at a beautiful lake, and my family and I are spending some time in nature this week, just decompressing and stepping away from everything around us that feels so heavy right now. It has been a time that, what a strange chain of events and months and fear and anxiety and pain and hurt and everything that we've experienced in the last several months. It's been difficult to remain really faithful and positive and focused. And so with all the noise around, all the noise on social media, all the noise on the news, the noise in the media, we needed a moment just to press reset. But I also didn't want to be silent this week. I wanted to come to you and discuss what is happening in real time while we're recording. And it's really easy right now to be discouraged. It's easy to look around and see the utter hopeless state of our nation. It's easy to lose hope. It's easy to feel powerless. And I think it's easy to be overwhelmed with what we are experiencing and what we are going through. But I feel so adamant about just reiterating that even amidst the feeling of hopelessness, even amidst the feeling of powerlessness, God can still show up and do great things. And there is so much pain and so much hurt in our country right now. There is so much tension. And when we look around, we see anger and turmoil and division. And my heart hurts for everyone. My heart hurts for the citizens of our country. My heart hurts for those that are feeling misunderstood and those that are feeling judged and those that are feeling less than. My heart hurts, and I want so greatly for unity and peace. I want us all to live this life where we can hold hands and love one another, really love one another, really well. In the past few months, we've seen this confusion and this turmoil and this division, and we've argued over everything. We've seen our country torn apart at the seams. We have argued about a virus, whether or not it was a true thing or not. Whether it was a conspiracy or whether we needed to stay home. We've argued over racial division, tearing our country apart at the seams. And I look around and I see, still at this moment, I have people at home afraid of a virus and people out in the world, doing life as they always have. And the two of them do not see eye to eye and are arguing over it. And I see my cop friends that are scared and angry. And I see my black friends that are scared and angry. And then there's those of us in the middle that are scared and angry. And I don't want to speak in detail on either side of the subject. I don't feel qualified. I feel at a loss. I know that I have a heart for humanity as a whole. And I know that I have never had to experience the type of pain that others have experienced. But I know that there's a bigger picture to this, and there's a better answer to this than what we are seeing, because I do feel like I need to speak on what God's called me to speak on, because it's easy to feel pulled in one direction in an all or nothing battle. We have developed this society where we have to be all in on one thing or all out on another thing in order to be able to coexist. We've created this dialogue where we have to pick teams. We see it every single stage of our society. And from your political alignment, your religious beliefs, what school you send your kids to vaccinate or not vaccinate, to breastfeed or bottle feed, we see it everywhere. We have believed this narrative that we're not able to love those who have a differing view than us. But I really, in the midst of all of it, in the midst of what seems so completely heavy, I want to remind us of something. I want to remind us of something that we may all be forgetting, because it's easy to forget this. We are not fighting a battle against flesh and blood. We are fighting a battle against spiritual warfare. We're fighting against the powers of this world's darkness and against the spiritual forces of evil. And you may say, no, that's not what we're fighting. This is the enemy's plan of attack. He seeks to steal, kill, and destroy. He uses weapons of confusion, anger, and division. He sows discourse amongst God's children. He has our nation where he wants it right now, in the palm of his hands. We don't trust our leaders. We don't know what to listen to. We don't believe what we read. People are searching for truth. People are searching for hope. We are not fighting a battle against the color of our skin. We are not fighting a battle against justice or injustice. We are fighting a spiritual battle against the enemy. Because if we turn on one another, rather than supporting each other, we will never be able to carry out God's plan for our lives. We will never be able to bring glory to the kingdom of God. And that is where the enemy wants to keep us. In Ephesians 6:10, we're told to put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. And you guys, I look at our country and I see that we need God now more than ever before. I see powerlessness, I see hopelessness, I see godlessness. And so we have to put on the armor of God to arm ourselves for this battle. We have to put on the belt of truth. We are all looking for truth, and his word is truth. Go to your Bibles. We have to put on the breastplate of righteousness. We're sitting here fighting over who's right and who's wrong, but we forget to stand in the glory of his righteousness. We have to put on the gospel of peace, because to know him in this situation is truly the only way that we are going to have peace amidst all the confusion, amidst all the dismay, amidst all the destruction. The gospel of his peace, to stand in that peace and to know him, is to be able to find peace in the midst of all of it. We have to put on the shield of faith. Don't just hear these words that I'm saying. Don't just hear the words that you're reading. Commit them to your heart. Stand firm in your faith and know that that is the shield that you need against all of this. We have to put on the helmet of salvation, because we can know that we are set free in our hearts. We can know that we are saved by his grace. But we have to know it in our minds, because in our minds, that is where this spiritual warfare starts. These are the lies we begin to believe. But when we have the helmet of salvation and we say, no, I am truly, truly free, that is how we have this helmet of salvation. And we have to put on the sword of the Spirit. We have to arm ourselves with the sword of the Spirit, because we're not fighting flesh and blood. We're not fighting what we think we're fighting right now. We're fighting an attack of the enemy. We're fighting him wanting to tear our country apart at the seams. We're fighting him wanting us to not believe what we read, not to believe what we hear, not to believe what we see. And we have instructions on how to fight this spiritual battle. We have instructions on how to put the armor of God on to withstand the attack of the enemy. But how do we show up for others in this fallen world? How do we stand up and say that we demand justice? Or how do we stand up and say that we want to love one another? How do we stand up and say we're in this together? How do we become the best of humanity in the midst of the worst of humanity? I had a conversation with a friend today, and he was a black man that obviously has had experiences that I have not had. And we were discussing, what do we do? How do we move forward? How do we have conversations? Obviously, we can't fix this, but how do we show up as the best of humanity in the midst of this? And it's when we realize that we are all on the same team. It's when we realize that we all have the same heart. It's when we show up and we love others well, that's when we start to see change. He talked about how he had this conversation with some other friends of his, and what they were going to do was create this movement that is a post-COVID movement, that is a post-rioting movement, that is a post-protesting movement, that this whole movement that says after this, because after this we're still going to be brothers and sisters, we're still going to live in the same world, we're still going to live in the same country, we're still going to live in the same town. What do we do after this? Where do we go from here? So in his movement, he described he's going to start serving others really well within the community and showing up and loving them in different ways that suits the situation, because when we really want to see things change, we can do that through love. Because true love, perfect love, it's not afraid. It's not fearful. It doesn't see color. It doesn't see wrongdoings. It doesn't see division. True love, perfect love, says that I don't fear you because I love you. True love says that a cop wearing a badge and a criminal on drugs can love one another. True love says that my friends and I that have different experiences can love one another and unite together to bring change. Love, you guys, love as an action, love as a verb, literally loving one another. There is a reason why the greatest commandment of all is to love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor, all of your neighbors. Listen to them, have conversations with them, talk to them, and unite and figure out that we're on the same team. We're fighting the same spiritual battle, and we can do it together. We can do it while we love one another. We can disagree with one another and love one another.
Hey guys, it's Maddie, Brandy's assistant. I wanted to tell you about the newest venture of the Power Project. Have you heard about the Power Hat Co? While teaching business to traffic survivors, Brandy realized the need for gainful employment that would attach mentees to purpose and provide entrepreneurial mentorship along the way. Combine that with her love of hats, and the Power Hat Co was born. You're going to love these beautifully custom crafted hats. The Ambassador Collection is available for pre-sale now. These structured felt hats are wrapped with a hand-woven ikat bandana, topped with a custom feather, and have a leather band with your power word of choice that has been hand-stamped by traffic survivors in an aftercare facility. With an ambassador hat, you not only have a uniquely crafted symbol of power right on your head, but you can also wear it confidently knowing that each purchase supports the fight against human trafficking. Check out these hats with a powerful purpose at thepowerhatco.com.
So how do we do this? How do we put this into action? We go to the Word, that whole putting on the armor of God, knowing the truth, being in the Spirit, the righteousness, the peace. It's all there. And if you're not a believer, because I am speaking to primarily a population of believers, because I believe that we believers have to stand up and be the change, and we can't just sit back and talk about things. We have to actually put our money where our mouth is. We have to actually put feet to our prayers. But if you're not a believer, if you're new to this show, if you're new to this community, and you say, I don't know that I believe in God, then we're glad you are here. Because where there is hopelessness, God can show up and do his greatest works. And this time, right now, this is the time that we believers have been prepared for. This is what God has prepared us for. We are supposed to be hope dealers right now. And we are supposed to be sharing with others the good news. We're supposed to be sharing love. So if you're here, if you're not a believer, if you're not even sure that God exists, it's okay. We love you. And we're going to continue to love you. We're going to love you really, really, really well. Really well. But Romans 12 gives us super clear instructions on how we can deal with these times that are feeling so divided and so full of division. First off, we are to let love be genuine. And this one is really heavy on my heart, you guys, because I've seen a wide array of reactions. And this means truly serving your homeless population, serving the marginalized, serving the differently abled, serving those less privileged, serving those that don't look like you, serving those that don't believe like you, serving those that don't love like you, having the conversations and listening to these experiences. And I got a little soapbox here. When we talk about letting love be genuine, this is not a trendy hashtag on social media, you guys. This is truly letting love be genuine. Are you walking side by side with people who have struggles that are different than yours? Are you listening to them? Are you helping them? Are you advocating for them? Because if you're not, I am not impressed by any type of hashtag or social media post that you have made. I am not impressed by you going silent for a day. If you are not prepared to take action and have some tough conversations, if you're not in community with others, but yet you are taking a stand on your social media, if you're not in community with others that have different experiences than yours, I urge you to lean in and make sure that you are being genuine in the way you love others, that you are authentically showing up for others, and that you are willing to get in the trenches and do life side by side with them, because that's how we let our love be genuine. We don't tell people what we're going to do. We don't tell people what they should do. We don't tell people how we're going to fix the plan. We walk alongside. We listen to their experience. And together, we come up with a plan. Together, we love one another and we love our communities really dang well. You need to love one another with brotherly affection. This is exactly like I tell my children when they're arguing, when they're fighting. I like to tell them, what's your last name? You guys are on the same team. You guys right now, you're on the same team. You're all children of God. Love each other. Just love each other. Just know you're on the same team. And we can all work together for the greater good. We can love one another really well. We are to be fervent in spirit. What does this mean? What does fervent in spirit even mean? It means having a great warmth and intensity, a burning desire. Like, my heart is on fire to love people every single day. My heart has great warmth for people that have been pained and that have been wronged and that have struggled. I want to extend the love that God has given me, the love of Jesus, to them. And it's what gets me up out of bed every morning. So be fervent in your spirit. We are to rejoice in hope. Remember how I said we're supposed to be some hope dealers right now? I heard a pastor mention the other day his acronym for hope. And it was holiness, opportunity, power, and expectancy. And I thought, man, if those 4 things don't so accurately describe what we should be striving for right now, then I don't know what does. We're being called to holiness. We're being called to relation with God, relation with Jesus. We're being called to an opportunity to make a change, have a new conversation. We're being called to own the power that is instilled within us to do far greater and more abundant than we could ever imagine. And we're being called to expectancy, to wait upon the Lord, to trust His plan, to trust His process, to know, to expect that His Spirit will show up even when the news doesn't sound like it will. We are to be patient in tribulation. We are to be constant in prayer. We are to contribute to the needs of the saints. We are to bless those who persecute you. Bless them. We are to rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. We're supposed to be crying alongside of those who are crying. And we're supposed to be celebrating those who are celebrating. We're meant to live in harmony with one another. Harmony, not disharmony, we're not supposed to be living amongst this dissension and division, but we are to live in harmony and peace with one another, do life together, love one another really well. We are to repay no evil for evil. Get that, you guys, write that down. We are to repay no evil for evil. We are to love. We are called to love and love well. And then most importantly, the end of Romans 12 and 21 says that if possible, so far as it depends on you, live peacefully with all. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. If possible, as far as it depends on you. There are times that you are not going to be able to live peacefully with everyone. But as far as it depends on you, you choose to live in peace with others. You do not overcome evil by evil. You overcome evil with good. You overcome evil with love. You overcome evil with conversations. You overcome evil with relationships. You overcome evil with the truth and the righteousness and the peace and the Spirit. You guys, I truly am pained by what my brothers and my sisters are walking through right now. I am truly saddened by the state of our nation, but I am eternally hopeful that the kingdom looks like all of us in community together, that the kingdom looks like no more division, that the kingdom looks like no more injustice, that the kingdom looks like no more arguing and fighting. And so you guys, I just want to leave you with these thoughts today, and I want you to ruminate on this throughout the week. And I want you, when you feel pulled and when you feel overwhelmed and when you feel saddened and when you feel heavy and when you feel burdened and when you feel fearful, I just want you to feel faithful. I want you to put your faith and your hope in Him. I want you to be a hope dealer, and I want you to live your best purpose-filled lives.
I wrote a book, you guys, and I would love to have you be part of the official launch team. Head over to the-powerproject.com, sign up for the newsletter, and I will make sure that you are one of the very first to get your hands on this book. If you enjoyed what you heard in today's show, can I ask that you go write a review, give us a rating, we'll take 5 stars, and tell all your friends. I can't wait to chat with you next week, but until then, live your best purpose-filled lives.